All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Brian Vizarreta. I work at StructionSite as a solutions marketing manager. A little bit about me. I've used this tech in the field since 2018, whether it was scaling internally for a GC, but also went into the field myself later on. Quick overview of what I'm going to go over today. What StructionSite does. Then we're going to go into a case study about that was done by Procon and the GSA. That was pretty extensive. And then I'm just going to end on some like very brief use cases and things to take away if you're looking to do it internally. What we do, so very simply, we allow you to use a 360 camera, walk your job site, and have those photos map onto a drawing. It's very easy to do as long as you can read a floor plan and you know how to turn on a camera. It's about 2 clicks to get the entire progress up and running. And those photos will tend to stack over time if you walk in the same areas. So a lot of times people ask me, I mean, I've created a technology program before. They talk about, scanners or robotics, and there's like a whole multitude of things you can explore, but I like to get a lot of companies started in the 360 camera space first for a couple different reasons. First is scalability. A camera kit can cost you in the low 400s. You can pretty much deploy this on every single job site if you build it into the budget long enough ahead of time. Implementation, the camera itself is designed for the average consumer. So Insta360, for example, or Ricoh Theta, they designed the camera so it can be used by, adventurous, almost like a GoPro. Speed of capture, so coverage and turnaround time. It's not just important to be able to capture your entire job site. 30,000 square feet in 5 minutes or less is typically how much you can capture with a 360 camera just by walking it. But also, getting those photos back in a timely manner. I used to plan my walks around my owners' meetings. So I would take my walks early Wednesday morning, and I'd have a lot of my data back for the owners' meeting by noon. And then visual is truth. You don't necessarily have to worry about any, data misrepresentation or, a photo's a photo at the end of the day. The way it could be construed or represented, if you were to use other different types of technologies, is just something you have to be careful with. So going into the case study overview with Procon and the GSA, they covered 35 projects. Within that, there was 480 users, 80,000 photos. This entire case study was around 11 months, 6.6 million gross square feet. And from that, they were able to determine there was about 35,000 hours saved. That being a combination of, travel times, which is like the easiest to construe, is the easiest to track, as well as you get into just time savings on an RFI, time savings of just not having to go back and forth on an email because you can send that photo. In total, that's about 2.2 billion in construction volume, with about 3.5 million in cost avoidance. And this is like a 62-page, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, document that we do allow a lot of our customers and potential prospects to, you can have it, you can check it out and see how it was pretty much done at scale. The goal of the overall project was to remote access for the contractors and the owners, document project progress more efficiently and effectively, and then the quality assurance to support management at pay applications. This is a project in Madawaska, Maine. It was design, build, solicitation. The way they were able to use this particularly was in the early stages, pre-construction, just understanding site conditions. One of the most difficult things is I searched this up on Google Maps today, and if I was on this project, I would be about 10 hours and a half driving, and I'm not too sure how I'd even get there by plane or what my commute would look like. So getting people, whether like your architects in California or you have some people that you're even going to move up to the job site, having somebody be able to capture data, whether it's even an intern or somebody local, to use that data at scale and be able to virtually give that to everybody involved is just a simple process that just makes sense, to be honest. Project execution operations. This is another project as well. This is in Maryland. It was a $120 million major modernization by the GSA. They used a lot of these photos week to week to track progress, installation, and sequence. I used to run exterior envelope systems, roofing systems, and mechanical penthouses particularly. And the most difficult thing about those systems is, how do you really prove later on, if there is a failure or a leak, that everything was done sequentially in an order? Typically, if there's an issue, it's never just like one photo that you need to find in your phone. It's a series of mistakes or small miscommunications that have happened over time that lead to that. So having those photos be able to stack on a drawing in the same exact location is, just crucial if you ever need to get into litigation or, any type of dispute, or even just an inspector just wants to see what's behind, whether a wall, behind a curtain wall system, etc. The way StructionSite was used, your technology is only as good as it is adopted. So a couple things here from the case study that was obviously important to track was the experience of the users. Really briefly, daily and weekly engagement to me is one of the most important. 75% of the users were GSA project members, architects, engineers, CMs, and GCs. So how often is this being used? And then also 100% said this technology bridges the communication gap between on and off-site project team members. I used to always break down everything that I did. You could always find the root cause of the problem. Pretty much came down to communication. Whether I didn't inform everybody on the team that, we were going to be doing something on X date, or one person wasn't in that meeting, didn't get the details correct, whatever it was, it always broke down to the main problem of communication. And this is the main part of the remote quality management that I want to just focus on. So having these photos is incredibly useful, but who is it useful to? So when you're talking about your project team that's actually trying to build a building, and then your external departments, weekly owners meetings. So, both architects, engineers, just being able to show them progress of what's going on, as well as the owner's consultants, anybody that's really involved with this project, keep them in track, what's going on. Design team review for conflicts. There was a huge time where, especially during COVID, right? That's like case number one, that's easiest for most people to understand, where you really had to get innovative on, people just having to learn how to use Zoom was a struggle, but having something like this where you can just screen share, show a 360 photo, sequence of photos, and being able to either create a solution to a problem or just, deconstruct what happened and, how you move forward from there. Foreman's meetings. I'd bring everybody in the field office pretty weekly. I'd throw up StructionSite on the computer. Every time, say, for example, a pipe fitter said, I can't go in there because of X amount of reasons, just pull it up and we talk between different foremen while everybody was in that room. One of the most frustrating things is somebody's talking, bringing up a problem. You have 2 or 3 of the people that need to resolve it in the room, and then saying, all right, let's go take a walk. And then you got to walk 15 minutes up because, the hoist is the hoist is down for lunch or whatever, it's busy. So you walk up 4 or 5 flights, then you go walk over to area just to do something that you could have just shown on a screen. Project team and internal communication, remote project manager. There is a project manager that I know that works for GHFIPS. I was recently talking to. He does a lot of hospital renos. He's on 2 projects right now that are all 3 hours away. How does he if he's there on Monday to Wednesday and a problem gets brought up by a super, an RFI that he needs to write gets asked to him on a Thursday, if he didn't have StructionSite, he would have to probably wait to the next day. The next day he was on site to write that. Project services, I used to use this a lot. I have MEP managers, quality control managers specifically, even safety managers. If there was ever an issue on site, just being able to retroactively go on site and see what happened. Quality control, I used to use the 2D photo function the most, I would say, on curtain wall systems. So I would take a shop drawing, I would take very in close photos of like the AVB, whether before or after testing, things like that. It was just really easy to go back and show and get a third party person to, just check, make sure everything's going on in the right sequence. Project team handover, the owner in the future, has a question, a system failed, you can go back and just look at what the entire, what has happened over time. If they want to either do a renovation in the future because, now everybody wants an open concept in a specific area, then they can just rip everything that they just did and they can look behind walls, etc. So that in short is the presentation on quality management.
Thank you, Brian. One small note is that 61-page report is actually not publicly available because there's some sensitive but unclassified information in there. So, but your synopsis is shareable, and there I think may be others that if anyone is interested, they can ask me, find me on LinkedIn, and I can find the versions that can be shared. But yeah, thank you, Brian. That project was really enlightening, I think, for GSA and really helped them out during COVID, and that was a great experience.